Senior 6. Well, this, of course, with advancements in the new curriculum, it's going to be something very, interesting. Back in the days, of course, when you could fail, you have to repeat the entire year, but now it's not necessarily that way. You only repeat that paper that you failed. I think it's making it much more easy for the students to, access the education and to make it not seem to be like a very hard, tough journey. Yeah. All right, now still in here, we'll take a look at city traders losing billions. That is to potholes and the traffic jam. Of course, in the economy, whenever there is not mobility, there is some sort of, the velocity of money, the rate at which the money transfers kind of reduces, and that affects economic growth, the rate of economic growth and development that is of a given country. Now, we still take a look at Museveni praises Putin over cooperation. That's with African states. What kind of cooperation is this, actually? We'll be finding out that more into the new vision right there. Okay, still in here, very interesting. We see that experts advise on proper oxygen infrastructure. Yes, oxygen infrastructure in the country. And of course, we say that Uganda and other developing countries have been advised to work with gas companies in order to establish that is proper oxygen infrastructure. Of course, following the lessons that the COVID-19 pandemic brought, that is to the country of Uganda. So you'll be finding out more of that. What does this really largely entail when it comes to the growth of the country? Of course, still in here, Rotary Club of Muyenga charters new club in the UK. Well, for the Rotarians out there, you will be checking out that to be in there. Still here, we see Mulago wants specialized unit that is for neonates. Yes, of course, due to continued growth in registered numbers of sepsis and sepsis infections among newborn infants. That's in Mulago. National Referral Hospital has asked the government to consider constructing a specialized neonatal unit for improved health care and treatment. Now, of course, for the people into the medical health, you can really relate to this particular aspect, this request, as we'll be finding out more of that from this copy. Well, now away from that, now let's cross over to the Daily Monitor as we take a look at what is really happening still in here. But of course, what is still trending is about the Ugandans that are stranded in Sudan, still on the top of the Daily Monitor here. Over 300 Ugandans caught in Sudan, stranded, some are caught. So that is quite very frustrating for them. You can just try to imagine what is really going on into their minds from that. Well, now let's cross over to the traffic as we take a look at what is really transpiring. And of course, the look you're having in there is the clock tower, taking a look at this traffic atmosphere. And yes, according to the look of things, it's quite sunny, definitely sunny morning, despite the fact that, yeah, it's kind of a little cold. And the place seems to be a little mildly congested, not really so much of congested. See quite borders in there, but it's quite a little bit okay. And that is for the people that are coming in from areas like Zambia, Kabalagala, and you probably use that clock tower junction. You can definitely relate and get to see what is that right route that you're supposed to use for you to reach your destination in time, and of course execute what you ought to execute at that given time. So that is the situation as you're observing, quite a borders there, and that's one of the streets that is known to have quite so many, very many pedestrians, people walking on the sides of the streets, quite many borders in there. So, well, according to the look of things, it's quite, it's not so much as congested. Now, that's the route for the people that are coming in from the areas of Zambia, yeah, according to what I'm observing in there, and you're probably planning to come to town. You can see it's quite of an advantage. You're coming in from Kabalagala, and you plan to, coming in from Bunga, yes, definitely Kansanga, those areas, and you plan to come and execute business. It's quite, it's not as heavily congested in there, coming in from those areas. Of course, actually, that's the road heading towards Entebbe. Now that's the route we are first taking a look at is now that's the route coming in from Zambia. Yes, people coming in from Zambia, Kabalagala, coming to execute businesses. You can take a look in there Of course, vehicles are always held in intervals of about 3 to 5 minutes as the traffic officers make sure that there is absolute control over the traffic in that area. So that is the situation. And there are many passers-by, many borders, many bicycle riders at the same time, many pedestrians, and of course the place is also still under some sort of construction. So that explains what we are seeing just right now. Yeah. So those different areas. Now, of course, as we take a look away from that, from the Zambia route, let's take a look at, of course, coming in from Entebbe Road, connecting all the way down to up to Kampala there. Taking a look, as it's quite a free street. Borders driving in all the way through. If you can take a look at Shell, where actually former ShopRite was way back, yeah, it's quite an empty lane for the people. But of course, the vehicles are being just held. But still, even ahead of there is some sort of a congestion because of still related to the construction that is still really going on. But according to the look of things, it seems to be quite free. Yeah, despite the fact that you'll be held into the jam by the traffic officers, but when you're set free, you will be able to go and execute something. Of course, now those are the vehicles coming in from Entebbe Road down away from Kampala, and they're heading towards Entebbe still. And yeah, as we speak, just being set free. But just ahead of there, some slight congestion in there. So for the people, if you're coming in from Kampala and you're probably planning to go to Entebbe, and probably you're going to pass via the Clock Tower Junction, well, you might not be delayed as such. Of course, sometimes these vehicles can seem to be so thick when held into the jam, but once released, before you know it, it's an empty space and there is nothing left there. So just like as you're observing. So people coming in from Kampala heading to Entebbe, you can take a look at the situation in there. Of course, according to the look of things, definitely you could probably reach the time that you need to reach. Of course, except for people that are coming in now from areas like Kabalagala and coming in from Entebbe and you're heading to town. In most cases, people that are heading to town always face the most traffic as compared to the people that actually live in town heading to these other destinations. As you can take a look, the vehicles held, but doesn't seem to be so congested. That is for the people that are heading towards Entebbe and you're coming from Kampala. Of course, now taking a look for those people that now coming in from Entebbe, connecting from Entebbe heading to Kampala, of course, connecting all that way to the Usafi route. You can see, yeah, it's a little, not so much of slight congestion. Of course, vehicles held just right there as we are observing, set to be pulled back. Yes, so quite many pedestrians as you can take a look, and that also contributes to why the area is a little bit congested. Well, 27 minutes past 7, and that is it for the traffic updates this morning. Hope you can be in position to actually make the right and appropriate decisions based on what you've just observed. Well, let's get into a short commercial break for now. Of course, I'll be returning with what's happening around East Africa in the world of business, and definitely we shall be topping up the hour with the international business news. Good morning.
Smart 24, driving business.